Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Monday. We actually dropped a thought piece this past Monday, so definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, I am not that great at growth strategy, but if I have given you information that you can put to use in your own life, then I do invite you to subscribe, join our community of game changers, and be part of the change that you want to see in this world. All of that to say, let's get into the topic of today. Allô les mecs et les mecs. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is mental wellness. And the conversation on mental wellness this week, I'm going to be talking about setting yourself up for success. Yes, because all of us, we have different goals that we may have formally or informally set for New Year's, for this new year, for 2025. And as we kick off this new year with hope and anticipation, I want to give you a few tips and tricks that will set you up for success as you navigate the transition between who you are now and who you envision yourself to be in the next few weeks. I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks as you navigate the transition between who you are now and who you envision yourself to be. So the magical number here is 21. 21 is the magical number because it typically takes 21 days for a new habit to become something that you're intrinsically motivated to do. So really, you support your success in making sure that you give yourself that runway, that 21 days, to cultivate that new habit so that it's not you burning energy just to do that specific task. And of course, at first we're externally motivated, we want to accomplish this goal, but usually after about a week, all of those feel-good vibes, they start to lessen, and it really takes more discipline and more focus for us to do something that we know is good for us but isn't necessarily part of our habitual wheelhouse. So 21 is your magic number. And so with this number, there are a few guardrails that I will typically put in place to set myself up for success when establishing new habits. And so the most important guardrail, I would say, involves the company you keep. It is very, very hard to break old habits. And it's not that we can't teach a dog old tricks, it's that most of us are fairly comfortable with the tricks that we have on hand. But it's even harder. So think about, like, you're not just breaking an old habit, but you're replacing it with a new habit. So that requires a lot of upfront mental, emotional, and sometimes physical energy, depending on the habits that you're looking to form. And so you want to make sure that you have an appropriate support system. And so if you don't have a support system, what this also translates as being is you remove the people who are detractors, the people who don't believe in you, the people who don't believe in the vision, who don't believe in the purpose and what it is that you're putting your energy towards. You want to get those people completely out of your way for at least 21 days. And so that means putting them on a small dose program, making yourself scarce, making yourself unavailable for at least 21 days, or making the topic of discussion unavailable. Like, If that person is someone who you want as a constant in your life, but they're not necessarily on board with what it is that you want to build this transition towards by way of a new habit, then for at least 21 days, like make it something that you just don't talk about. Like if they try to bring it up, you don't entertain the conversation, because you want to keep yourself motivated. And it's hard enough to keep yourself motivated without also internalizing the voices of the people who judge and criticize and who don't necessarily see your vision. So it's really important that you manage the messaging around you for at least 21 days. And what you'll find is by that 21 day mark, you'll be so much better at managing that messaging that if you find that after 21 days that person hasn't converted, like they're not like on side, they don't see like the results, the benefits of the transition, then take another 21 days. But at least for the first 21 days, like you want to manage your environment, manage your setting by managing the messaging. So anyone who has a message that is alternate from the message that you yourself need to kind of focus on and keep in mind to accomplish this transition of building up this new habit, I think that it's the time to set the stage and to really do what you can to minimize, if not cut those voices out completely. And so that's really, really important that you have supporters, you have accountability partners, but you also make a point to neutralize and completely silence the voices of those who are not on side and who are detractors from the goals that you have in place. So that's the first goal that I think is super important. Secondly is supports, is resources, tools, and all the like. So if you're like me, or one of your goals is you need to start to go to sleep a little bit earlier, then you give yourself all of the aids that you can possibly give until it becomes an intrinsic cue. So that might mean setting up an alarm to start your evening routine. And I have an evening routine, and I do the evening routine, but I have a lot of bad habits that lead up to it. And even after my evening routine is done, and so I've decided, okay, like, well, how can I help myself go to sleep a little bit earlier? Because I like to wake up early, and that's not going to change. Like, I want to wake up the time that I want to wake up, but I need to make a point to go to sleep at an appropriate time so that I'm getting at least 6 hours of sleep in. And so with that in mind, you set yourself up for success by giving yourself like different cues, different incentives, different rewards for meeting the goal that you have in mind. And then don't beat yourself up if you don't meet it necessarily, but encourage, support, reinforce the behaviors that will enable you to cultivate the habit of going to sleep a little bit early, or the habit of whatever it is that you're hoping to do. But setting yourself up an alarm or doing anything that gives you an external cue that tells you that there's a reminder, hey, this is the habit that you want to form, is going to be really helpful. And so what I like about these reminders is that even for the things that like I don't necessarily do as cyclically as I'd like to, the reminder is me making a conscious choice not to do it, right? And so I don't necessarily like to concede to not do something that I previously planned to do unless there's a specific reason as to why. But what it will tell me is like if I don't want to remove the reminder, if I want to keep the reminder, but I find myself consistently like shifting and changing and not necessarily respecting the timeline, then I can modify the timeline. Maybe it's the timeline that I'm trying to establish, maybe it doesn't work, or maybe my entire schedule needs to be changed, right? Because I have a lot of things that I want to do both personally and professionally, and in order for me to accomplish all of those things, my time management needs to be on point. But for my time management to be on point, like I can have like a great calendar in place, but my energy management needs to be there as well. So I need to make sure that I cultivate the appropriate habits, which is sleeping well, eating well, and doing good things for my body like exercise, so that I have the energy to push through the entire day. Because one of my no factors is I do not believe in operating on empty. I'm not the person who is going to get up and do something when I have zero energy left. I like to respect my body enough where if I have no energy, then that means I need to take some time to pour back into myself. But because I have a lot of things that I need to do, it's better for me to incorporate different habits and rituals that build my energy up throughout the day as I'm depleting it. And so all of that to say, when you think about your calendar, you think about your schedule, you think about like what's not working, don't immediately like cut the goal out. Iteratively like pivot and make different shifts and changes until you find a cadence that actually works well for your schedule. And if your schedule's feeling a little bit broken, then it's an opportunity for you to revisit your schedule so that you can do things that make sense for you to accomplish all the things that you find are important for you to do. And so for me, like I have different reminders, and if it's in my reminder, it's an important thing for me to do, I want to do it. But if I find that the time that I've established is not the right time because I keep conceding that like I can keep like pushing it off when the time comes, then it's a signal to me after a certain period of time, typically after 21 days, that I need to find a different time. If that time just doesn't work, I need to find a different time that works better. And so those are some tips and tricks that are very helpful. And then last but not least, as a setting yourself up for success, is give it time, right? So I talked a little bit about timelines. I talked a little bit about managing your energy effectively, but also giving yourself time. A lot of us, we think we have these big lofty goals, and I think that it's important that we continue to have big lofty goals. But we need to give ourselves the time to make the transition, to become the kind of person who can carry those goals, because there is a version of ourselves who can carry the goal, which is different from the version of ourselves that's envisioning the goal. And there's always like a gap between who we are envisioning ourselves doing something very specific and who we are becoming as we work towards accomplishing that initiative. And so many of us discount the amount of change that takes place within us when it is the case that we pursue goals that matter, the change in our mindset, the change in our own personal philosophy, sometimes in our values and our beliefs that happen when we push towards a goal and we accomplish it. We're not the same people necessarily. We're not the same person when we accomplish that goal. So you need to give it time. So even after the 21-day mark, let's say at 21 days you're closer, but you're not exactly there, then give it another 21-day cycle. And then maybe document the process so that you see just how much you yourself are changing as a result of pushing towards a specific goal. But never discount the power of giving it the time that it needs for you to be successful. Don't give in, don't concede, don't give up. If it's something that you envision now that is important to you now, it's going to be important to you throughout the year, whether you work towards it or you don't. But rather than live within the realm of regret, live within the realm of reward. Find ways to reward yourself as you incrementally move towards that goal and incrementally move towards that objective. And so I want to be here as your cheerleader. I'm here to support you in whatever goal that you've established for this year. I hope that it gives you the opportunity to see your own strength, to see your own growth, your own capacity to push through hurdles and challenges, because I think that that's what builds self-assuredness, right? That's what gives ourselves confidence. It's the experience. It's knowing that we have and that we can do it again, right? And when we meet our goals, the goals that we established now, regardless of the size of them, it gives us the courage and it gives us the confidence to go for bigger goals. And so I'm all about pushing towards my goals because it has been in accomplishing the goals that I've had in the past. It gives me the confidence and the assuredness that I will push towards and successfully meet the goals that I have planned ahead. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Give you some encouragement, wish you a very happy new year for 2025. And if you do want support in self-mastery and in self-discovery and in figuring out, well, how do I set myself up for success in a really concrete way to accomplish not just my goals by way of like the physical things that I want to accomplish in life, but also like my development goals, my personal goals, then I do suggest that you join our community of game changers. We do host live events twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our website, and we do have the roadmap plan for 2025. If this is something that is of interest to you, then definitely check it out. As it relates to my own personal stalking situation, no information for you as yet, but you will be the first to know when I do. Thank you so much for tuning in and for giving us an opportunity to play this small role in your journey. We'll talk to you all very soon.